Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Max Bernier Show. Today, I have the privilege and the honor to have with me Chris VandenBos. Chris is one of the founder of the Police on Guard, a great organization that is fighting for Charter of Rights or freedoms here in this country. Chris, welcome.
Thank you, Maxime. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Chris, can you just tell us a little bit more about you and your career as a police and where you're from? I think it would be interesting for our viewers to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my career in 2005. I was a young man from small town Southern Ontario, born to immigrant parents, and come from a long background in our family history of struggling and dealing with oppression over in Europe, and that's why we came here. And when I became a police officer, it was a significant honor for our family because it meant that I was standing for the rights and freedoms of Canadians. And Canada is a part of liberating Holland, where we came from. So my family was honored. And then as a police officer throughout my career, I worked the front line. And I also did some secondments and time in the criminal investigations branch for a little bit, as well as going into school resource as a school resource officer working with at-risk youth. And along that journey, there's a lot of hardships that comes with being a frontline officer. And part of that was, also struggling with PTSD since 2008. And, but even in spite of that, I've always worked hard to continue to keep myself, above board and keep pushing forward. And, what ended up happening in 2019, late 2019 and early 2020, as this virus was unfolding, as a police officer struggling with PTSD throughout my career and wondering what it was all for, and then seeing the government implement mandates that were seemingly criminalizing human behavior and arbitrarily removing the people's rights, I became concerned. So I decided to do something about it. And it's luckily grown into a great organization thanks to the work of all the people involved.
So he decided to create the Police on Guard. It's a national organization all across the country. For the members of your organization are police and former police, or can you explain a little bit more?
Yeah, so we have the officers on the statement of claim. We've hired Rocco Belletti. Actually, he came to us because he knew what we were after and that we were fighting for the freedoms of the people. And he's from the Constitutional Rights Center, and he decided to represent us pro bono. And we had officers join on board on their statement of claim. And then from there, the organization just developed and grew into hundreds and hundreds of officers on the immediate Telegram chat that we have, where we disseminate information and organize events and strategy. And then further to that, we have our support pages as well, which is numbering the thousands. We have a lot of currently serving officers, as well as retired officers that are from all ranks, not just constables, all the way up to superintendent, in some cases, even a chief. So we have quite a few officers that are representing us, as well as military and other oath takers that work in the government sector.
So you saw the need to have that organization because of these draconian lockdowns and draconian measures that were imposed in Ontario and in other provinces also. Can you give us some example?
Yeah, I'll give you the one that started it all. The one that really was the nail in the coffin, so to say, or the straw that broke the camel's back, was the incident in Calgary, where Calgary police had approached the young men and kids that were on the ice, and they weren't wearing masks. And the one young fellow was threatened to be tased, and he was arrested, and they cut his skates off, and they threw him in the back of a police cruiser for being outside and skating on a pond. Like, that's a very Canadian everyday activity in the winter that all of a sudden became a criminal act. And that was just the inspiring catalyst, so to say, that made myself reach out. And from that, there was another officer that also had the same opinions as me, and we were connected. And from there, Police on Guard grew. And what we saw all throughout has just been the continuation of that. Like, we took an oath to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms of Canadians and the Constitution. And that Constitution and Charter has not been revoked. In order to do that, you have to invoke Section 33 of the Notwithstanding Clause, and you have to demonstrate why you're doing it for what length of time. That did not happen. So we were effectively being told and mandated to go out there and enforce these measures, which are a direct contravention, in our opinion, of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. We are to acknowledge that in the application of our duties and make sure that we're adherent to that. And what they were mandating was us to basically circumvent that and forget our oath. So that's why we're taking them to court through Rocco Belletti with the Constitutional Rights Center, and we're seeking clarification on it.
What was the reaction at that time of your superiors when you built that organization? Did you have some difficulty with them? Because I believe that that must be maybe a majority, or if not a huge minority, that must be in line with your principles, to respect our constitution.
Well, because it's a statement of claim too, though, and it is a legal process that has been undertook here. Most people are smart to respect that process and to not do something that would bring themselves into disrepute. So there hasn't been any reprisal to date in regards to this. But at the same time, it is a line drawn in the sand, and it's a pretty significant one because this is the first time in Canadian history the police have taken their government to court.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm doing rallies all across the country, and we know that we may have an election this fall. And as a leader of the PPC, we need as a party to be ready, and we will be ready. And people are telling me, so what can we do? Because they want to have back their freedom, and they know that now, all these mask mandate and maybe a vaccine passport and maybe other lockdowns this fall. And I'm telling them there's two battles that we must do. The one is the battle with the public opinion. We must weed. We must win the public opinion. We must fight that battle, and I'm doing that as a politician, try to convince more Canadians and having more support. But there's the other battle also that you're doing, and other groups also are doing in court, and that's an important battle because all these court procedure, all these court decisions that will come will be a precedent. And I hope that in the future, these authoritarian governments won't be able to impose their authoritarian measures on us. So the battle that you're doing, it's a battle for all Canadians. And I really appreciate that. I'm doing my best as a politician, and you as a citizen, an engaged citizen, you're doing the best. And I hope that when you'll have a decision, I'm pretty sure that you will win because it's against our Charter of Rights and your vote. So it won't happen in the near future. That battle is so important. Do you have a lot of support across the country? Because I believe that you're a non-profitable organization, and you must raise money to do these fights in court and these rallies that you're doing to promote your position?
Yeah, we're trying to basically win the hearts and minds of all of our fellow Canadians because one thing that needs to be reminded to everyone that's listening is the charter applies to everyone, and our job as police is to guarantee that they're protected. And if that's not happening, though, it's incumbent upon us. We have to stand for it, and we're standing for all of our fellow Canadians. But what we're asking and hoping for, as we grow, and we are growing, make no mistake, we're from coast to coast now. And like I said, you asked about the supervisors that might be given a little bit of reprisal. We're finding we're having a lot of supervisors joining us from different organizations, police services across Canada, because they see it. They know this is unconstitutional against the charter. So as that grows, we're trying to make sure that there's a lot of focus and attention on that court process, but also in the process of waiting for the courts, we're trying to educate everyone in Canada about what their rights are. Most people don't know. But check it out. The Constitution Act of 1982 stipulates very clearly what your rights are, and they are guaranteed. They are not easily removed. And they, especially over this last 18 months, were not, in my mind, not to have been removed. So regardless of if things start to get better moving forward, what they've done over the last 18 months has still occurred, and there needs to be accountability for that. And we're moving forward. Yeah, we want to educate all of our fellow Canadians about their rights because their rights still stand, and the Constitution protects that. So does the Charter. And if everybody knows what their rights are, they're going to be a lot more confident in speaking up for them. So just know that we are standing up for them with you. It's a very reputable organization that's growing immensely, and you have the support of Police on Guard because we are moving forward to fight for those rights.
And so, what is your best advice for Canadians? During last winter, a lot of Canadians didn't want to go to our rallies because they were afraid to have tickets and a big fine, and so coercion was very efficient. So what is your best advice for Canadians in this fall? Because I believe that we may have other lockdowns, and if they want to participate, and the risk of having a tickets, how do you see that? Because for me, I received a couple of tickets doing different events, but I won't pay it. I didn't pay it, and I'm contesting that in court. But actually, I don't have dates for my hearing right now. But I believe that we must do that. Do you believe the same?
Well, I think the important thing, like I had mentioned when it comes to the charter, is if everybody takes the time, it'll only take you 10 minutes to read through it. Read through it. And as you're reading through it, look back through the lens of the last 18 months and ask if you think those charter rights were infringed upon. And if you're in agreement with us and you can see it as clearly as it is written, then start standing up for them. Speak to your members of parliament, your provincial members of parliament. Let your voices be heard. As you know, as a politician, Maxime, that you rely heavily on your constituency to find out what's going on within your area so you can best represent them. Sometimes that doesn't seem to be the case, and a lot of times it seems to not be the case currently with those that are in elected positions. So make your voices heard, be loud about it. We're trying to advocate a nonviolent resolution to this because I feel a lot of people are at the point of just being very, very burdened, taxed, weary, and angered in a lot of cases. And we have our info email lit up all the time about people that are angry and they're wanting to know what we're doing to help them. And we do our best to reassure them that we are fighting for you, with you, but you need to know your rights as well so that you can strong and firmly stand with us for them. If everybody starts pushing the message that, hey, what Police on Guard is saying is right. I read through the charter. It's pretty obvious to me what's been going on. We want answers and we're not going to take it anymore. That's important. We all need to take that stand.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I'm telling the same thing also to people that I have the privilege to meet during my tour across the country. I'm telling them, call your member of parliament, call your member of your provincial legislature, and tell them that you don't like what you're saying, and telling them, you won't be able to support that person. And I was an elected politician. I didn't win the last election in 2019. I will run back in my former riding in Beauce. I believe that I will be able to be back in Ottawa. But when you call, you're right about that. When you call a politician and you're telling him or her that you don't like the way that the situation is and the decision from that person, and you're telling them that you won't be able to support that person again, usually your member of parliament will go and speak with the leader of that party. And if you have more and more people like that, that will help, because I agree with you. We may have other draconian measures in the future this fall. So I'm very pleased that you exist and you're doing that work also. But what would be, if people want to be in touch with you, you have a website, and also, do you have any events that you're doing that people can go, can assist, or um, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I myself will be flying out to Vancouver in September for September 18th, Worldwide Freedom Alliance. They get together and it's just a celebration of our rights and people standing for them. And they clearly want to hear a message. So I was invited and I'm happy to take them up on that. But further to that, we have our website. On the website is a bevy of information and resources. And you can read our statement of claim and see if you disagree or agree. You can read it. It's right on our website. You can see what we're doing for our fellow Canadians. It's also important to note that everyone within Police on Guard, yes, we're not for profit. And on top of being not for profit, we're also paying for everything out of pocket because we believe that much in this and that it's worth the investment into not just our futures, but our children's futures. Because I hate to see where this trend is going to end if we don't stand together and say we need to do something about this now.
Yeah. So I want to thank you very much, Chris, for taking the time to speak with me and with my viewers. Actually, I'm asking my viewers to go on your website also to read that. Our rights were violated last year, and with all the other measures that they want to implement, we must be on guard for our rights. And I want to thank you. That's important. And let us know also on your fight in court. Do we have some information on your website about where you are in your fight in court?
Yeah, we have our news and updates that we release regularly as we get them. We do know that there are some other significant cases ahead of us that Rocco Galletti is also representing. So we're waiting for our date to come up and when we're able to move forward officially. It is registered and filed, so we're just waiting for it to be heard. But also on that note, it's important, I did want to say, for anybody that has not joined on that is an officer or retired, we do have the petition also listed on our website. The statement of claim has the names of those that first step forward for this statement of claim to move forward to fight for the rights of our Canadians and to have clarification on the oath of police officers and whether or not this is breaching them. The petition speaks to, and it's anonymous, you can remain anonymous. It speaks to your level of support. Do you support it? If so, get your name on paper. Let's make sure that we spread the word so that we can get as many law enforcement officers, both retired and active, to join on to let the powers that be know that we are standing in solidarity on this.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you, Chris, for fighting for us, fighting for our freedoms. It's an important work that you're doing, and you can count on me on the PPC. I'm doing the same thing in the political area, and we'll be very vocal at this next general election, because if you look at all the establishment political parties, they're all the same about lockdowns and curfew and stay-at-home policy and all these draconian measures. And we are the only party that spoke since the beginning of all that against these measures and fighting for our freedom. So I'm pleased that you are there and doing the same thing. That's important. And you are giving us also a lot of credibility because of your work. So thank you, Chris. I don't know if you had something before we...
I'll just add one final note if I can, Maxime. One thing I want to say to everyone is we are the true North, strong and free. And as our anthem says, we stand on guard for thee. So let's stand. Let's stand together. I thank you for this opportunity. It means a lot. Thank you. And I wish you all the best moving forward with your endeavors as well, Maxime. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And yes, stay strong and free. Bye-bye.
You as well. Bye now.